Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. All right, grab your popcorn, maybe put on a metaphorical trench coat, because today we are absolutely ripping the lid off the biggest geopolitical truce we've seen in ages.
You mean the U.S.-China TikTok deal? Finally.
Exactly. The framework agreement. This wasn't just some, corporate merger.
Yeah.
This was high stakes, digital conflict, national security versus, let's be honest, the sacred right of 170 million Americans to just scroll.
And thankfully, the scroll continues. That existential threat, the big nationwide ban that's been hanging over everyone, it's off the table, officially averted.
For now.
For now. Mid-September 2025, they reached this, well, they're calling it a framework agreement. But it wasn't a surrender, not really. It was this incredibly complex asset transfer, a political ceasefire, essentially.
A ceasefire negotiated, get this, in Madrid, Spain. All places.
Right. Glamorous backdrop for deciding the fate of an app.
Picture it. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Trade Rep Jamieson Greer, face-to-face with China's Vice Premier He Tran. These weren't just diplomats talking tariffs. These were giants deciding the future of the Internet's most powerful content engine.
Well, it tells you how serious this was, that it went that high up. The U.S. was asking for, basically structural control over ByteDance's crown jewel.
And we know President Trump, who kicked this can down the road 4 times, and President Xi Jinping, they'd already given the nod, right? So the negotiators were maybe just hammering out the fine print.
Pretty much. The fundamental structure was likely pre-approved. It was less about if a deal could happen and more about what that deal looked like. Saving face, securing access.
Exactly. Yeah. Saving the app, saving political face, but also getting unprecedented control over foreign tech. So, for you listening, here's our mission today. We're going to dissect the, frankly, shocking specifics. What exactly did the U.S. demand? What cutting-edge concessions did they get?
And crucially, what price did Beijing demand in return for handing over the keys to their digital empire?
Okay, let's dive into segment 1, the algorithmic coup, America grabbing the secret sauce.
Right. So the ownership details are where it starts getting intricate. It's not a clean sale, not 100%. You've got a consortium of U.S. investors. And yes, speculation is heavy on Oracle playing a big operational part.
Okay.
They get majority control. ByteDance, the Chinese parent company, they keep a minority stake.
Whoa, hang on. Minority stake? That still sounds like they have a foot in the door, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We kept hearing TikTok as this massive national security threat. If ByteDance still owns part of it, how real is this U.S. control? Is it just, window dressing?
That's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? And the core skepticism. But the framework seems pretty specific about operational control. Meaning ByteDance gets the economic value from that minority stake, sure. But they lose operational authority. Day-to-day decisions, gone. The U.S. investors get the majority on the board and control over the thing that matters most.
The algorithm.
Exactly. The recommendation engine. The mechanism feeding content to Americans. That's the prize.
The secret sauce, the logic deciding what goes viral and what disappears. So you're saying controlling the board and the algorithm is like seizing the command center. The minority stake becomes kind of irrelevant.
That's the argument. Precisely. And let's clarify this for you listening. People often mix up data storage with actual influence. Remember Project Texas?
Vaguely. That was about where the data lived, right? Keeping U.S. user data in the U.S.
Yes. Handled by a U.S. company like Oracle. That was meant to address the surveillance fear. The idea Beijing could just grab your location data, your biometrics, whatever.
Okay, surveillance fear is tackled, data localized. Check.
Right. But securing the algorithm, that tackles something maybe even more insidious, algorithmic influence, propaganda. Data localization stops them looking at who you are. Algorithmic control stops them manipulating what you see.
So if Beijing, say, wanted to squash criticism of its policies, or maybe amplify divisive content before an election, they couldn't just order the U.S. data centers to do it. They need to control the recommendation engine itself.
And with the U.S. now apparently in control of that engine, the theory is they neutralize that ability. They can't subtly tweak the feed, push narratives, suppress topics. This shift, from just focusing on data location to actually controlling the core algorithm, that's arguably the real measure of tech sovereignty the U.S. was aiming for.
But the timeline reflects the urgency, right? They pushed the ban deadline back.
Yeah, the original September 17th deadline got kicked to December 16th, specifically to give time, about 30, 45 days, for all the due diligence, the asset transfer. You don't rush something this big.
Okay, sounds like a big win on the national security front. On paper, anyway. But wins usually cost something. Let's shift gears from the tech control room to the geopolitical trade table. Because TikTok wasn't just an app, it was a massive bargaining chip. What did Beijing get for giving up control?
Well, Beijing's move wasn't just a retreat. It was calculated, strategic. You have to remember, ByteDance isn't just some tech firm. TikTok, or Douyin in China, it's their biggest cultural export ever. Reaches 1.5 billion users globally.
Okay.
So retaining that minority stake, it's partly about the money, obviously. TikTok pulled in, what, $18 billion in U.S. revenue in 2024? Huge numbers.
Wow.
But it's also about preserving the intellectual property, the algorithmic IP. They don't want to just hand that over entirely.
Right. Save the IP, lost the operational control. Still feels like a net loss for China, though. What could possibly make up for giving up a platform that prints money and beams culture worldwide?
Leverage. Leverage in the bigger picture. The ongoing, escalating U.S.-China trade war. This TikTok deal didn't happen in a vacuum.
Okay, so this was tied to other stuff.
Absolutely. The price of peace for the U.S., the thing that likely got China to agree, seems to be flexibility elsewhere. Maybe reduced U.S. tariffs, but the real prize for China. Eased export controls and chips.
Chips.
Yeah.
There it is. So we go from protecting teens watching dance videos to potentially fueling the future of military AI. Explain that jump for everyone listening. Why are chip controls way more important to Beijing than lower tariffs on, like, sneakers?
It's about strategic tech. Tariffs hit lots of goods, affect the trade balance. Chip controls, target-specific high-end stuff, AI accelerators, advanced semiconductors, the things China absolutely needs for tech independence, military upgrades, AI dominance.
So the U.S. basically said, okay, you give us control over the TikTok algorithm, and maybe we'll ease up a bit on restricting your access to the really advanced chips you need for your military and AI ambitions. Is that the trade?
That's certainly how it looks from one angle. It's a potential massive strategic game for China, kind of hidden within a deal about a social media app.
Especially with the U.S. already hitting companies like NVIDIA with antitrust actions and tightening those chip restrictions. Getting any relief there would be huge for President Xi.
It would be. And it allows him to show a cooperative resolution, not just buckling under U.S. pressure on trade. It plays well domestically.
Okay, but let's be fair. The U.S. side got a big domestic win too, right? This deal settles that 2024 law Congress passed, demanding something happen with TikTok divest or ban.
Absolutely. It resolves that mandate. And politically, it lets the administration avoid a potentially disastrous ban that would have infuriated, well, basically anyone under 30.
A huge voting bloc.
A huge bloc. And remember, this is happening while the broader trade tensions are still really high. Chinese exports globally are actually booming, even though shipments to the U.S. dropped like 15%. So this deal is a rare moment of, let's call it, de-escalation, a high-profile diplomatic win both sides can sort of claim.
Right. Enough geopolitics. Fascinating. But let's bring it down to earth.
Yeah.
Segment 3. What does this actually mean for your feed, your wallet, maybe even your sanity?
Well, the most immediate thing is super simple. The uninterrupted scroll. Life goes on for 170 million U.S. TikTok users. No ban, no app suddenly vanishing.
No cultural void.
Exactly. The viral trends, the connections, that all stays. It saves the platform for the kids, as the White House apparently framed it.
And it saves a whole economy built around it. Right. We're talking about 7 million small creators. That's staggering.
It is. They reportedly earn over $10 billion a year collectively. So this framework doesn't just save an app. It protects livelihoods, stabilizes a big chunk of the gig economy, keeps people employed in content moderation, U.S.-based tech jobs related to TikTok. It's a massive economic pressure release.
What about the mental health side, the addiction factor?
That's complex. On one hand, teens keep a major social outlet, good for connection. But the addictive nature of the algorithm? That's still a concern.
Is there any hope U.S. oversight changes that?
Maybe. The optimistic view is that enhanced U.S. control, maybe regulatory demands for more transparency, could lead to tweaks, could potentially tone down some of the hyper-addictive rabbit hole stuff, promote healthier use, theoretically.
Theoretically. Okay, let's get cynical again. The economic ripples. If trade tensions ease because of this deal, could that actually make stuff cheaper for us?
It's possible. If eased tensions mean imports flow more smoothly, or if tariffs are subtly adjusted as part of the broader package, you might see prices stabilize for consumer goods, phones, clothes, electronics, maybe some minor relief from inflation.
So we trade theoretical future security risks for potentially cheaper sneakers today.
That's the catch-22, isn't it? You save money, you keep your fun app, but the potential concession on chip exports, that carries that long-term risk. You might be indirectly helping fund or speed up China's military tech development.
Preserving a free app today, possibly boosting a strategic competitor tomorrow?
Wow, it's a tough calculation.
So, summing it up, the deal keeps a massively popular app alive, shields users from immediate disruption, and puts up a big shield against foreign spying and propaganda, supposedly. Saves time, money, sanity, for now.
It's a pragmatic solution, you could say. But, the big takeaway here, maybe the uncomfortable one, this whole saga just highlights how reliant the U.S. is on foreign tech, foreign content platforms.
Big point.
So while the deal might be okay for now, it really should be a wake-up call. A nudge to maybe diversify your digital life a bit. Check out Reels, YouTube Shorts. Just, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Which brings us perfectly to the final critical thought. We've just given you the full breakdown of this truce, this framework. But is it really a resolution? Or is it just kicking the can down the road again, just in a different way?
And that's exactly what critics are already screaming. They're calling it a capitulation. They're saying the details aren't strong enough. Yes, the deal technically satisfies that congressional mandate from 2024 for the moment. But the specifics, especially anything related to those chip concessions, you can bet Congress is going to scrutinize every single comma. This TikTok war, it's paused, maybe, but over. Absolutely not. Far from it.
Precisely. The battle for the feed, for digital dominance, it's eternal, it's complex, requires constant vigilance. But hey, guess what? You just got the definitive high-stakes analysis.
Yeah.
The inside scoop on the biggest tech geopolitical deal of the decade. That was completely unmissable. So if you feel smarter, if you feel plugged in, if the drama of algorithmic control actually captivated you for the last 15 minutes, you know what to do. Smash that like button right now. Feed the algorithm.
Yeah, and tell us what you think below. Seriously, do you buy it? Does the U.S. really control the secret sauce now? Or is this whole thing a political illusion, a temporary fix before the next eruption? Get in the comments. Let the debate begin.
And most importantly, if you want to stay ahead of these earth-shattering shifts, if you want to understand the collision of tech, security, and global trade before it hits the headlines, you absolutely must subscribe or follow the deep dive immediately. The next deep dive, trust me, it's going to be just as explosive. You don't want to miss it. We'll see you next time.